Hi everyone! Welcome to Sattui's Wine of the Month Club cooking demo for December.
Today we'll be making Panforte paired with Sattui's Madeira, a holiday favorite around our household this time of year. Let's go ahead and give it a taste.
Before we give it a taste, let's open this bottle.
You have a trick for that, don't you?
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't actually tried opening this bottle, it's a little bit more tricky. It's a shatter wax, so that means it needs to be tapped firmly against the side or upside down onto the table, which I will be showing you. You can also use the back of a spoon or anything firm to allow that fracture to occur. So here we go. So just like that, as you can see, it was quite a surprise. Very entertaining to do in front of guests. Now that the bottle has been fractured, now you can just twist the top open like this, and now we can give it a try.
Let's give it a taste. Getting vanilla. How about you?
Oh gosh, I mean, you're getting that brandy note coming through, some deep raisins.
Nice toasted spices.
All right. It's so good.
It's gonna pair very nicely.
So good.
Let's get cooking. Let's start off with preparing our dried fruit. We're gonna start with our pears. What we want is nice half-inch pieces, approximately the size of the nuts that we're gonna be using, so we get a nice uniform texture. Next up, peaches. Smooth. So Panforte is what literally translates to strong bread. And the reason why is that it was named after all the spices and mix that were added to it. It was shelf stable, so it would last longer in your dry storage than other traditional breads. And more importantly, it was more often than not prepared around the holiday season and winter time because of its longevity. Beautiful, great cut.
So the figs are always gonna have a little hard part from where it was attached to the tree. And so that is gonna just be sliced off before the figs themselves are halved. When you're done with the figs, they're gonna be nice halved pieces. For the apricots, they're gonna be different sizes, so cut as you need. Some will be cut in half, others are gonna be quartered. All right.
Perfect.
So I'm mostly a chocolatier here at the winery, so I do all their chocolates and confections. Cocoa nibs are definitely in my area of expertise. So the cocoa nibs themselves are raw chocolate, so they come from a cocoa pod like this. This is how they grow naturally. This one's dried. We're just gonna cut them into a little bit smaller granule size. When they say eat 1 ounce of chocolate a day, they don't mean like your Hershey's bar. They're actually talking about this stuff here. So feel free to eat this every day. It contains no sugar. It's actually a natural abrasiveness too. So local tribes in the area would munch on it every morning as a form of brushing their teeth. So that natural, it's not gonna hurt your teeth. It's nice and gentle.
Very cool.
All
right, now time for my favorite part. We get to toast our spices. We're gonna start out with some peppercorns, some allspice, and my favorite for the wintertime, clove. Really adds that something special. That's just very iconic to the winter spice. And over heat, we're just gonna toast until we hit fragrant. And we've activated some of the oils and reawakened these spices.
It smells amazing. You can really smell those coming through. There's a big difference between just buying powdered spices versus already buying them whole, right?
I mean, the fun part about buying and toasting fresh whole spice is that you'll just reactivate those flavor phenols, and it'll really pop in. Not only that, but it also makes your house smell great.
It's so good. Do you just go off of fragrance to know when they're done, or is it a color change?
Basically what you want to do is you want to see the first wisps of smoke, which I'm just now starting to see. Yeah, so at this point, we're starting to smell the flavor compounds in the air. We're starting to see just faint wisps of white smoke, and that's how we know we're right where we need to be. It smells amazing.
So good.
So, coming in. Beautiful. All right. So yeah, we have a nice fine powder now. Beautiful. Oh,
It's amazing.
smells great.
Before we start cooking our sugar, we're gonna start prepping our fruit into the bowl for mixing. You can use a regular bowl or you can use a mixer for this part of the process to do the work for you. You wanna have this ready before you start cooking your sugar. So we're gonna start adding our golden raisins, our diced apricots, our pears, our figs, our dried peaches. Then we're going to be adding all of our toasted nuts. So our almonds, our macadamia nuts, our pistachios, our walnuts, and our pecans. And Andre's personal favorite, cashews. Next, we're going to add our flour into the mixing bowl, our cocoa powder, the coriander, cinnamon, nutmeg, and mace.
What's the difference between nutmeg and mace?
One grows on the outside and one grows on the inside. Orange zest and lemon zest. And then next it's going to be orange extract or orange oil, whichever is your personal preference or that you have available. You don't need a lot, a little bit goes a long way, so just adding a cap full to this batch. And same thing with the lemon.
We're on one. Yep.
All right.
Go ahead.
So we're lifting it up, and now we're just going to give this a pre-mix. We're using a dough hook for this one just because it's more gentle for mixing all the components together. All right, so when you're done mixing, it should look something like this in the bowl. Nicely evenly coated with all your dry ingredients and your flour.
Smells incredible. Okay. So we can do this into a few different things. We can use a smaller loaf pan, a larger loaf pan. Most important part is we use a sprayable canola oil. Do not skimp on the canola oil. You will regret it if you do. Otherwise, the stuff will tend to bake into your parchment, so we're using wax paper instead. The reason why is that it's just gonna have better separation from our Panforte, and we're gonna get a better quality product, and we're not gonna have to excessively trim any paper stuck to our Panforte. So we're gonna be very generous with our spray here. We're gonna get our sides. Then we're gonna line with wax, and then we're gonna go again. So we have a nice sheet of wax paper. Go ahead and press into this. We get a nice, beautiful layering. We're gonna spray again. And we're gonna hit it one more time. This time the other way. And then this will just help us get a nice uniform product.
This is also going to help with lifting out of the pan when it's done.
Should pop right out. One more time. And this is going to be our final layer, so I'm going to be very, very generous.
Now it's time to make our sugar syrup. This is going to be the glue essentially that holds all of our components together. We're going to be first starting with our honey. I have this pan on a low heat. I like starting with liquid components first, and the reason is before you get to the granulated sugar, if you add the granulated sugar first, there's a possibility that a part of it will start to burn more quickly than the liquid components. The other sugars are going to kind of act like as a barrier to prevent it from sticking to the bottom of the pan and tasting not so good. So now that those liquid components are in, now I'm adding in the sugar. And during this point, you can give it a little stir. As it's heating up, I prefer not to dump it all in at once because we are heating up this. If you dump it all in at once, you're adding something that is just gonna cool it down. So it's a much faster process to add your sugar a little bit at a time.
To gently fold it in.
Gently fold it in, yes. And now we're just gonna bring this up to the 243, the 245 degree temperature that we're aiming for. And those 1 or 2 degrees makes the difference between it becoming a nice chew versus more of a crunchy, hard crack. Okay?
So the entire process takes what, like 2 minutes?
It can take 2 minutes. It depends on your heat. I would never try multitasking though. I'm always gonna babysit this. So I tend to hold the pan a little bit like this, and I'll stir this around because I want to get a general idea. There's going to be hot spots in this pan. Some are super hot. You're going to see it spike to 250. You're going to see it go down to 220.
So you're chasing more of an average right now is what you're doing.
Absolutely. So when I want to take a final temperature, I'll actually take it off the heat and let it stabilize to give you. And we are there. So very quick. And now we're just gently drizzling all this in. It is hot. So don't try dumping it in all at once. You just want to use the bowl as the support for your hot pan.
Okay, so this is what our mixture is going to wind up looking like. It's going to look a little kind of clotted, like it's been gunked up with the sugar. That's exactly where we want to see it. It's going to still have a nice little softness to it. This is the one time we have a chance to move it around. So we're going to go into our nice greased pan, right? And we're just gonna kind of ladle it across to get an even mix. And then we're just gonna use our hands and our spatula. It's cooled off nicely at this point. And you wanna work with it while it's warm before it starts to set up. And if you get a couple of dusty parts, it'll kind of take care of itself as it cooks. So, gorgeous. Like I said, time is of the essence. Just got to move relatively quickly and confidently. Every last bit. Okay, so now we have our log, and we're just gonna kind of lightly press the spatula in our hands. And what we're gonna do here is just gonna make sure we have a nice uniform product before we send it into the oven. Our oven is preheated to 275. Okay, so from here, once again, we're gonna turn to our friend with the canola spray. We're gonna mist the top pretty thoroughly. We're gonna line with some wax. Nice little strip. Push down. All right, so now we have an insulated Panforte. We're gonna take the same vessel and we're just gonna set it down. This is optional. You can just bake it the way it is. This is just gonna get you a little more of an even product. All right, I think we're ready to fire it in the oven.
Yep, let's get this in.
All right, so we pulled our Panforte and we've let it cool for about 45 minutes. Give it a good steady thunk. Ooh, that's a good sign. You see the little sheen in there? That's what got us through it. Let's see. Outer layer. Oh, it smells so good. So just carefully peel it off. Definitely want to be delicate during this process. Almost there. So this happens. So if you see a little piece here or a little piece here, you can just take your knife. I like to use a serrated bread knife. Just makes it easier and cleaner to cut. And just kind of scrape or just lightly part it off. Let's see how we did. Okay, I'm gonna grab one with me. All right, so here we have our typical chocolate Panforte.
Beautiful.
Toasted nuts. You can see all the dried fruit in it. It's just like a mosaic. It's great for a cheese plate, great for dessert. At this point, you can do a few different things. Typically, we slice it thin. A couple of small pieces. All right, let's go ahead and give it a taste.
Okay.
So the spices, the vanilla, the beautiful acidity between the bitterness of the cocoa and the light sweetness of the dried fruit really, really sings with this Madeira.
Yeah, they complement each other so well, just that dance back and forth.
Thanks for watching.
And until next time, happy holidays.